Hi, my name is Robert Pierre. I live in Northbrook, Illinois, and I am a Boy Scout of Troop 162. I have been very fortunate to have been tasked with a Eagle project by my synagogue, North Shore Congregation of Israel. They have asked me to deer-proof their community garden. What is so special about this garden is that all of their produce, all the produce that they grow in the garden is given to local food shelters on the North Shore. This garden at the synagogue is taken care by the members of the temple. It has been very difficult for them to watch the deer ravage the garden each year, eating all the produce that could have gone to the local food shelters. In our permit application that we filled with the village of Glencoe, we are asking for a variance on the height of the fence to be 10 feet height. The reason for a 10 feet high fence is that it has been well documented that deer can jump over a 8 feet high height. 8 feet high. The reason for a 10 feet high this fence might be 10 feet in height. That it has been well documented that deer can jump over 8 feet. The walls will be made of poly fencing product that will allow the reason for a 10 feet high fence might be 10 feet in height. That it has been well documented that deer. The garden location is the walls will be made of poly fencing product that will allow the reason for a 10 feet neighboring properties, so it will not disturb their views. We would greatly appreciate your approving this variance, as it will enable the synagogue to better service the community. My name is Robert Pierre, and I thank you for your time.
It's a good question. I don't know the answer off the top of my head though. They did have to request special relief for that fence, so it definitely was taller than 6 feet. Correct. Correct. Is that the other community garden from Shalom? I'm not, but I don't recall them receiving any special relief or asking for that. So it.
Not off the top of my head, but I have contacted them, and their best recommendation at first was to maybe create a electric fence, or maybe two-sided fences. But we can't. The temple doesn't want it because they want to make a child-friendly environment, and we can't make a double fence area because there's a road nearby that will block construction. South lot line. Let me double check.
I spoke to
Yeah.
I spoke to 3 of the properties that on Aspen Lane who abut the common property line. Probably the most directly impacted is 35 Aspen, who I spoke to. I also spoke to the owners of 55 Aspen and 65 Aspen. Mostly they just had some questions clarifying where the fence was going to go. And when I clarified that it was just surrounding the garden area, they had no objections. I think initially they were thinking it might have been more like a property line type fence.
Just based on your fence, 140 line, and it looks like this is that property. So,
It is.
If everybody could just a reminder to use your microphone, because we are, if you didn't know, you know now, we do record these meetings.
Yeah, correct. It's about, I think last time I calculated, if I remember correctly, like about 4,000, 5,000.
And all of you can answer this, yeah, some information. How big do you anticipate this fence to be in terms of footprint on, I know the height, footprint on the ground?
I think it was like,
It's only like 125 square feet. So it's really pretty small, it's like, just a bit of like,
yeah,
It's 120 foot within there. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Total like, feet of fence.
yeah, yeah,
120 foot. Oh, yeah. Total like, feet of fence.
yeah, yeah,
120 foot. Oh, yeah. Total like,
yes, it's, yeah, yeah,
120 foot. Oh. Direct. Is that something that we should expect to see?
it should be
Line
look like
type
that.
fence.
Yeah, it should be
Line
look like
type
that.
fence.
Yeah, it should be
Line
look like
type
that.
fence.
Yeah, yes, we have looked into other alternatives, but none of them we think are quite as efficient as fence. Yeah. Have
we're the ones that are crossing the natural flow of nature. And again, this is coming from someone who's spent a long time dealing with land conservation. You're putting
please speak at the
Robert,
podium?
I'm not trying to beat up on you,
No.
I'm just trying to get
No,
some
no, of
information.
course, I understand.
It's
You're doing
it's an
an
evening.
excellent job. Young man, if I did this for your age, I'd be a lot further in than I am right now.
It's an evening of the Roberts. So, my name is Robert Levy, and I'm the lay overseer of the garden. I'm a member of North Shore Congregation Israel, and do this on a volunteer basis. I've been running the garden and it's either 3 or 4 basis. I've been running the garden we have a couple questions. I have looked at the fencing at the Botanic Garden, and I couldn't get up to the top to measure it, but it is well over 6 feet. My guess is it would be around 9 feet tall, 9 feet high. Actually, I stopped back over there today just to take another look. As far as the deer are concerned, just the brief history of kind of what we've gone through. When I first started, the deer were a bother, but they were not so rapacious as they are now. And what's happened is the herd has grown and grown and grown, and they've become the deer herd, right? And they have started to eat more and more and more. So we have tried absolutely everything known to man. I've talked to the University of Illinois with respect to they have a gardening course and center there where they give advice. Tried what they suggested. I've tried everything that I could find on the internet that I could read about and so forth. I called the Botanic Garden on several occasions. Well, we've tried all kinds of things that would remove by scent. We have tried hanging things that are not just them. We tried planting flowers that they supposedly don't like. I think that's it. I mean, when I say all kinds of things, I mean, there are a number of different non-harmful chemicals because you don't want to put anything in the ground near to what you're growing as a food source. And everything that we've tried has not worked. And when I talk to the people at the Botanic, I mean, it works a little bit and then it just kind of wears off. And now you want the names of what they are? No, it's been a trial over the last few years for season, and sometimes more than one thing. Something on the perimeter of the garden where the fence is, something around each bed, and so forth. And it seems to deter them for a brief period of time, and then it stops. And in fact, the problem is now that it's gotten worse and worse and worse, so that what's happened at this point is that by the end of last year, they were just eating everything in the garden. I mean, it was just totally destroyed. So it's unfortunate because we do supply a lot of produce, or have been able up to the present time to supply a lot of produce for the community and for the wide community, and it really has gotten limited. I'm afraid that this year, if we aren't able to keep the deer out of the garden, that we will be really unable to produce very much. It grows and then it gets eaten. I talked to the Botanic Garden at great length, and I asked them what their suggestions were after I did what I could do in my own way. And they said, really, the only thing, we can't do an electric fence for obvious reasons. I said, we can't do an electric fence for obvious reasons. There are a lot of children around and so forth, and would never want to take that risk. And they said the only thing that you can do really is to build a fence, and I asked them how high, and they researched it, re-researched it just to make sure that they, because depending on what deer are in the area and the health of the herd and so on and so forth, there are different recommendations. And they said that 8 to 9 feet minimum, 10 feet is ideal, that they won't go over a 10-foot fence. Now, there are other things you can do. You can tie, for example, you can put a shield, a cloth shield, for example, on the fence. But if you do that, you keep a lot of the sunlight out. And to me, it makes it a bigger eyesore than this very attractive fence that they're going to build. And the other thing you can do are tie like ribbons, you know, kind of a scarecrow. Tie cloth and ribbons that blow in the wind and frighten them away theoretically. They won't jump over a fence if they can't see what's on the other side of it. Fishing line, yeah. Well, the yeah. Well, yeah, except. Sorry.
Very inexpensive and effective solution to keep deer out of the garden without having to build anything yourself.
Yeah. Well, a couple of years ago, we actually had some deer that broke right through the plate glass in the temple and were running down the hallway. So until they died of a heart attack, which they will do if you frighten deer enough, they actually go into heart failure and pass away.
I make a motion to approve the request of Robert Pierre on behalf of the North Shore Congregation Israel to construct a deer fence up to 10.64 feet in height surrounding the congregation's community garden.
Is there a second? Second. We're going to have a roll call. Before we do, I just want to announce, not for you, but for posterity, that people should not assume that it's open season for 10-foot fences, because it isn't. Like, you know, back in the old days when they did the Botanic Garden fence, they also went hunting for deer. You know, that was how they caused there to be less deer. And we have varying views, you know, this family thing. Okay, let's have a roll call.
Okay. Elsa, sir?
Yeah, yes.
Friedman?
Yes.
Kaplan?
No.
Novak?
Yes.
Satter?
Yes.
And Chairman Rowan.
Hi. Congratulations. Your variance has been approved. Good luck with the project.
Good luck with the project.
Thank you.
Thank you all, folks.
We still have a fence board meeting now. And now's the time for that. If there's any public comment, something that's not on the fence board agenda, now's your chance. Nobody spoke. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Sorry. Motion to adjourn.
Is there a second?
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
That concludes our fence board meeting today. The second item to do, so that we can let our lawyer escape, is the zoning commission hearing. So I want to call to order the zoning commission. Roll call.
Elsa, sir?
Here.
Friedman?
Here.
Kaplan?
Here.
Novak?
Here.
Satter?
Here.
And Chairman Rowan.
Here.
We have a quorum.
I have to look, I didn't focus. We do have minutes. So first item is to consider the August 7, 2017 zoning commission meeting minutes. Does anybody have any comments on the minutes? This was, auto house. second?
Second.
Do we need a roll call or just a?
Minutes to be approved by just
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. All right, now the next item, and the only item remaining on the agenda for the zoning commission hearing is a item, and the only item remaining on the agenda for the zoning commission hearing is a item, and the only item remaining on the agenda for the requirement for the commercial building at 662 through 666 Vernon Avenue, the requirement for the commercial building district required for the conversion of existing office space on the second floor to a residential apartment unit. Do we need to swear in anybody because we swore him in for a prior meeting? So anybody who's going to speak?
However, unless he's hiding somewhere, I don't see the applicant here.
Huh. Okay. What are we going to do? Did they think that they were going to be last?
No, I'm not, I don't, this is a surprise to me. We may have to
We'll have to punt.
ask them if they're still interested. Well, we could,
Do they have to be here for us to vote one way or another?
You know, we have to hear.
typically we have a presentation from the applicant.
I think, you know, I guess if we voted for it, they wouldn't be complaining, but I'm not inclined. So let me just say that in my involvement with village government, aside from east of the tracks being sacrosanct, the thing that people care most about is parking in the business district. I mean, so we can't lightly waive this. And by the way, we don't waive it anyway because we're just making a recommendation which can be ignored by the village board. So the real purpose of what we're doing is a hearing in which evidence is presented. So if they're not here to present evidence, so what we're going to do, they're not here. Can we hold it in abeyance, not adjourn, and turn to the next one, or do we have to actually shut it down? Because if we shut it down, I think we do it again.
So you can do one of two things. You could basically table this, and now since you don't have anything else on this agenda, you could reconvene later tonight, because anybody who is here who has a comment would know that you will try to reconvene. And then what I would recommend is that you would, if the applicant does not show up tonight at all, I would recommend postponing the item to your next scheduled meeting so you don't have to re-notice it.
Okay.
If they can't make that one, then Nathan will announce at the next meeting when that will be.
Okay.
So.
Those sound like good ideas. So do we need any vote, or can I just table this thing and we'll go on to the zoning board meeting?
I would do a motion to well, you're not postponing to a specific time. I would, to lay it on the table for right now, and then a motion to adjourn in favor of the hearings on the ZBA.
Do we need to adjourn the meeting if we table this, or can we have that meeting hanging there? I'm just afraid if we adjourn the meeting, we're having another meeting on the same night.
You're asking a question that in my 12 years of municipal practice I've never been asked, is whether you can, whether one body can adjourn itself to allow another body, which is comprised of the exact same members, to convene their other meeting independently while waiting for the possibility of that new meeting coming. I'm going to say we can probably wing this one and just do we'll call it a motion for temporary adjournment pending the arrival of the applicant.
Is there a motion for temporary adjournment?
Motion for temporary adjournment.
Is there a second?
There's a second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, then we're going to then do our regular zoning board of appeals meeting. We have 2 items, but first let's call the meeting to order and have a roll call.
Elsa, sir.
Here.
Friedman. Kaplan,
Here?
Novak,
Here.
Satter,
Here.
and Chairman Rowan.
Here.
We have a quorum.
First item is to consider the December 4th, 2017 zoning board minutes. Does anybody have any comments or changes on the minutes, or is there a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
There's- Excellent. No? Good job. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay, the next item is a public hearing to consider, actually, which one are you on?
60 Brentwood.
Okay, okay, we're gonna do that one, because you're here. You're not here for either of these?
No,
or-
they're the,
Oh, well, that's not fair. Okay, I'm sorry, I didn't realize. Okay, yeah, I'm sorry, I thought you were. Well,
Yeah.
you know, with this Me Too stuff, I'm not gonna like put them in first. Okay, sorry guys. We're gonna have a public hearing to consider a request of Ala Deneen. You can tell me when you get up here if I got that right. And Marion Who for variations to reduce the south side yard and to permit portions of the exterior wall and roof to intercept the setback plane for a proposed second floor addition to their home at 1005 Forest Way Drive. Everybody who's going to be testifying about any of the zoning board appeals, so that's all of you, should get sworn in. So raise your hand and
do you swear or affirm that the testimony you will be providing in this matter will be true and complete? Thanks.
okay. We're on the 1005 Forest Way Drive, so whoever wants to speak should come on up to the microphone. Tell us who you are, your address, and why you think we should approve this request.
Yes, do you guys want them?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Con.
And the big plan?
You know, usually, if you have someone helping you, you can sort of talk through it and explain what's going on.
And you can move that easel up in front.
And as you're getting ready, as you're doing this, Nathan, what have we heard from the neighbors?
Okay, let's see. I have spoken to neighbors on both sides of the property, both to the north and to the south. Today, I just spoke to the neighbor on the south. She didn't express any objections.
Okay. I will disclose that both Nathan and I have heard from one of the neighbors who vociferously objects, and I'm gonna, and she sent some stuff over, which we'll share with the board. She also sent me lengthy emails with her objections, but she told me that I was not at liberty to share with anyone the actual text of her emails, and I think, since I don't know that that's covered, unless it's a part of the meeting, she does want her documents disclosed, so I'm gonna, after you make your presentation, I'll, summarize what her objections are, so everybody knows, and we can look at those documents and decide what to do. But aside from that one neighbor, the neighbors are okay with this, is that right?
Correct.
Okay.
I'm Marion, and I'm from Glenview. This is Ala. She's from Winnetka. We're the buyers for 1005 Forestway Drive.
Okay. Is this a place you're gonna live, or are you developers?
We're buyers, and one of us might live there. It's to be
Yeah.
determined right
We'll see
now.
when we're done.
Okay,
Is there anyone that's living there now, or is it empty?
It's empty.
okay. All right, I interrupted you, so go ahead.
Oh, no problem. We're requesting, well, do you want us to go ahead?
We're requesting a variance on the setback on the south side. Basically, we're adding a second floor to the garage. It's gonna be a master suite, which is lacking right now in the house. The house is 57 years old. It was built in the 60s. So to bring it up to, to the houses that, to the standards that are nearby, we're adding a master suite. The house was built according to the variances of 1960s, which were 8 feet, and since then they have changed. It only makes sense to add a second floor, right above the garage and, move the wall by 2 feet. So we're basically asking for the variance to change to what it is for our garage right now. And it's less than 20%. So it was, it's 8.25 feet right now, and the zoning is 10 feet, so we're asking for that. And it's pretty simple.
So you just wanna build on top of what's there?
Like, so right here.
Which is now, which used to be conforming and is now a non-conforming
So
use.
this is the garage right now, and we're adding this on top. And basically there's 8 feet right here on the south side, and we're asking for this variance to be 8 feet as well. So it's just gonna go up.
So it wouldn't go over the garage,
No.
it'd just be in line with the garage?
Yeah.
It just, would it be any higher than this blue part right here?
No,
This
it's
blue?
not.
It'd be exact same? I'm sorry?
It's to retain the architecture of what's there and maintain the integrity of the house.
It's gonna be exactly what the blue part that you see in the back. That's what we're adding on top of the garage. Again,
And Nathan, just refresh my recollection, the neighbor who's objecting
it's on that opposite
the other side of the house.
Correct.
So,
Goes against my other
so somebody might have an objection to their light, but it wouldn't be the objector, it's the one who's not objecting.
Yeah, the neighbor to the south who I spoke to today clearly understands that the wall is being extended above where the current garage wall is, which is a little bit over 8 feet from the side property line.
Yes.
Which I was gonna, so would there be a variance if they built the second floor on the opposite side where there's not a second floor? Or no? Which is also where they object, so this side of the house? I understand that, but if you were to shift the building plans, would there be a variance on that side also? Or we don't know?
No, if you look at the plat of survey, on that side of the house, it's 13.4
Setback's
feet
fine,
away.
right? That's what I
Yeah,
wanted to
and the
confirm.
setback would be 10 feet
So it'd
today.
be fine?
Yeah, and like they said, when the house was built in 1961 or 4, the side yard setback, minimum side yard setback at that time was 8 feet.
and now
So
it's
it did
10.
meet the requirement then, now it's 10.
Right.
One thing I'm not seeing clearly is, so there's an overhang on the roof of the existing garage, right? And on the new drawings, it looks like the house it sits above the roof line. But does the structure of the garage widen?
No, it's gonna, if you see the picture, there's that extended
Right.
roof, but it's going to go right on top
Of the wall.
the brick wall.
So the roof is just, it's gonna be exactly the same,
In
with a
order to
little bit
support,
higher.
in order to support the addition, there needs to be a beam that goes across the garage, and so we need that support.
So this is
So-
the existing wall, it's just gonna go.
Got it. So the eave of the new roof line is gonna be facing an even with the one that's on the
Yeah, it's
existing.
gonna be exactly the same.
Nathan, to clarify, what's the address of the objector?
Let me get that map.
We just want to see it on that. We have. it.
10005. Oh,
No, that's. the
No,
one.
10, 10,
10,005 is
10015.
fine.
Nathan, do you know why the objector objected?
I'm gonna tell you why.
Oh, okay.
But I want- I want
That's
them-
your person, okay.
I want,
We can tell you why.
We also have a letter from her
talked to
too.
her.
but it- yeah, her name is Rosemary Stewart. You know, and is there more you want to tell us? We tend to be soft touches on things like this where you're dealing with a change in the zoning and, you know, you'd be grandfathered in, but you're going a little higher when the neighbors don't object, particularly when the neighbor affected doesn't object. We tend to be okay with that, but before we get into the objections, which I'm going to relate, is there anything else you want to tell us? Once I say what the objections are, we're absolutely going to give you a chance to respond.
Well, we hope to finish this pretty quickly. So I know that was one of the issues that she had as well, because she works from home and she thinks that it's going to affect her work. So she actually asked us for monetary compensation for that. And I don't think I've ever heard of that before. So, and most of the work is going to be done on the interior. We need to bring everything up to code. The electrical is from 1961. Basically, everything hasn't changed since then. So that will be the biggest scope of work that we have to do. And putting out an addition should not take that long, which I know is a concern of hers.
Okay. Well, let me.
I also would just point out one other thing before we jump into the neighbor, just because the request is twofold. It's
yeah.
the side yard setback reduction from 10 feet to 8 feet. And then if you look at the last page of your packet, there's a minor setback plane encroachment, which I've colored in black so you can see the extent of it. Roof overhangs are allowed to encroach into the setback plane, but in this case, there's a small portion of the exterior wall and a small portion of the roof that's going to be encroaching, which you can see illustrated on that page. And there's no percentage limit on the extent of an encroachment. So just wanted you to be aware of the second element of this request.
Okay, could you just tell us what the approximate distance is from, let's say, the center of the garage to her house?
To whose house?
House.
Oh, let's see if that shows up on the plat of survey.
It's the opposite side, right?
Yeah.
Is it the house to the north?
Yes.
I know, it's on the opposite
Yeah,
side,
yeah, yeah.
so I want to understand from the garage all the way to the residence.
So,
How wide is your
if you
lot?
look at the plat of survey sheet, the width of the property that is 1,005 is 82.57 feet. So the center of that property would be 41 feet. Let's see, the center of the garage would be 11 plus 8.
50.
About 20
Probably.
feet. It's probably about 60 plus feet away.
But then there's the garage too, 'cause I'm pretty sure her garage is on the south side of the house.
Yep.
So she's set back. Okay.
Her house is facing this house with the garage.
Okay, got it, thank you.
So, the objections that the neighbors to the north have are as follows.
Mr. Chair, I have a question. Was this a written letter that was submitted?
It was sent to both, Nathan got something, I don't know if he got a written letter, I got something with a request that the text not be shared, but that I could talk about it. And it seems to me that's a risk that the objector has that I'm going to get it wrong. And whatever we're considering, I'm disclosing so people get to vote on it.
I have concerns about that being included in the record.
When I
Yeah.
say, the letter's not going to be in the record.
the fact that it's not going to be in the record is problematic. I think that the objector has the ability to come and present sworn testimony. There are circumstances where an objector cannot appear, and they can present something that is equally shared amongst, and you'll understand this, that how someone presents their testimony is part of the weight that is given. And so if someone has asked, especially a member of the board who's going to be deliberating on it, to represent their views, that causes issues with the rest of the board's ability to weigh the testimony. And I'm not calling into question your ability to,
Okay, I get it.
Yeah.
So now what do we do? Because I didn't say to her, I mean, I thought it was a strange request, because she's certainly able to write, intelligently, and did. But I didn't tell her that because I didn't know, I didn't tell her that if you don't let us, I asked her to come, she said she's not coming. And she said something about health. So, and I said, well, what about your letters? No, can't share that. And she said that to me a number of times, including in writing. I did not say to her, then you're not going to be able to make the objections. So she may feel surprised if I'm not able to say what her objections are.
What if Howard reads the whole?
Letter.
Well, I'm not really supposed to do that.
Can we go back to the objector and tell her that her objections will be considered if she allows Howard or our attorney or someone to either read the text, or maybe she could reformulate it into a persuasive letter,
we got
or
somebody here now, though.
That means you have to wait a
the question is, it's about the due process that's due to objectors, which they get some deference, but also that's due to applicants.
Right.
There doesn't seem to be an indication that this person received proper notice from the village and was aware of the hearing, and provided no official statement stating that she could not be here. We've had that in the past, and when in cases where that has been where that has occurred, the applicant will get a chance to see the statement beforehand, be able to prepare a response. One of the issues here is that you have basically a witness arguing points, presenting evidence without having to be here to present it herself, whether to defend her assertions or have her credibility assessed firsthand. And that's problematic to the applicants. I think that the applicants may be able to speak about issues that were raised. I think that Nathan can do that as well. I think as chair, it's you paraphrasing is problematic from an ex parte sense.
So I'm not going to do that. So she had a number of points, and I'm going to talk about a couple of things. One of them is the one you mentioned, which is you said there was concern about noise, and that because of construction, not because of what you're building, but because of construction, and that you said she asked you for money to make up for that. I will just say that I don't know about the money part, but we don't have any jurisdiction over construction noise. The village does, and I'll encourage you to be as soft as you can be and not to be doing construction at 4 in the morning. And if you violate any noise ordinances, you're going to hear from us. But that's not our job. We don't get to do that.
And just to clarify, we have construction work hours Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. and on Saturdays, 9 to 6, no work on Sunday.
And I'm sure it's possibly too loud and to be told to tone it down even during the work hours. The other thing I want to ask about is we have in our packet some to whom it may concern notes, which I gather were circulated by you to get the neighbors to say they were okay with this. And,
That's how we met the neighbor.
yeah, and one of the issues that struck me when I looked at the notes, you can see it on the signed one, and I have, is it says that the zoning meeting is going to be on March 4th. And now, as it happens, we didn't have any zoning board meetings in March because there wasn't anything on the agenda, which probably, you know, you can tell me about that. And March 4th is a Sunday. So tell me, or tell us,
So here's
were you
what
trying to trick anybody by telling them to come to?
If we would, then we would put the date afterwards. No. So we thought when we were applying, we thought that we were going to make the March hearing because we didn't realize that there was a 2-week period where the village has to send the letters and inform everyone. So, and the March 4th, the fact that it's Sunday, I just made a mistake because I looked it up, and when Nathan was saying, you know, the dates when we were talking, it's like the 1st March, and the dates that are in the packet are from the last year. So that's why I put March 4th. So when we talked to her, it was a courtesy call. We went around with all the neighbors. You know, she was the one. She is a special individual. So we gave her the letter just like everyone else. But then when we went to apply, we found out that March 5th or 4th is not happening because there's a 2-week period when the village sends the letter. So that didn't.
Stuart, is that a due process issue that we should be concerned about?
No, the letters that were provided were completely separate from the notice letters that were provided, and the village's letters that were sent out after and clarified the date. And I think, as the applicant astutely points out, if they were trying to hide the ball, they would have said that the hearing was in May. And so often things get postponed. For various reasons, dates slip. In this case, I don't think there's any question that all the affected parties, including the neighbor who has a specific objection, was very well aware of when the actual date of the hearing was going to be.
We got, and I think I sent it to Nathan, and it's here somewhere. There was another letter.
These items here
Yeah.
were, you were told by the objector that we could share these attachments with the members of the zoning board. It's 2 different attachments.
One is just as the March 4th thing which we talked about. The other one, which is around here somewhere.
It's attached to. The first one is labeled 1A, B, and C, and the second one is labeled 2A and 2B.
Okay.
They're all stapled together.
Okay, I'm sorry. Okay, got it.
I have
And
extras.
Stuart, is there any problem with looking at? You covered 1A and B. Is there any problem with looking at 2A?
2A being the email.
This is an email. This is an email.
Yeah.
That was between the objectors and the.
Yeah. I don't. I mean, unless the applicants. Do you have a copy of this?
Actually, I think Nathan gave us because we didn't look at it.
Here, take mine. I'll look over it. Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah, that's what we sent. That's
Unless there's any question as to the veracity or that the wording has been changed, that's just a factual. I mean that exists.
That's
So
okay.
you can talk about that.
Okay. So I just want to direct your attention to this letter, which is marked at the bottom right corner, 2A, which I gather is an email from one of you to Ms. Stevens, which you sent to her on February 26th. Do I have that right?
Yeah.
So, fourth,
So
once,
when we met her, she said that she doesn't want the addition built because she thinks that we're putting a separate apartment in here with the kitchen and everything, and a separate entrance. I don't know how we would do that, but anyway, so she asked for the plans, which I sent to her, and I said, no, we're not adding an apartment in there, we're adding a master suite, and here's the plan if you
okay. In the fourth paragraph, which says, it says, during the construction, you will not, there's a B missing,
Yeah.
will not be disturbed. I mean, what, how do you know? How do you know? Maybe she
When
will
the-
be, because it'll be really noisy.
Well, this is something that, you know, there's a school nearby, there's also noise, it's not something that we can control, but in terms of that, there's nothing gonna be on her property, that was her concern, so when we talked to her, when we met with her, among other things, she told us, don't let the dogs on my property, don't let the dirt on my property or anything on her property, which obviously nothing is gonna be on her property, everything is gonna be contained on ours and our driveway, and she won't be disturbed. Outside of the noise, there won't be anything that is gonna affect the fire.
Okay.
And like Marianne said, the noise, most of the work is inside. The noise is gonna be done once they frame the addition, which literally takes a week. And then once it's sealed, all the work is inside.
Okay, are there any other questions about this variance at 1005 Forestry Drive? Okay. And is there a motion?
Motion to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
Have a roll call.
Council, sir.
Yes.
Friedman,
Yes.
Kaplan,
Yes?
Novak,
Yes.
Satter,
Yes.
and Chairman Rowan.
Aye.
Motion approved.
Yeah.
You know, I
Good luck.
don't know if you're gonna be residents of Glencoe, but good luck with your project.
Thank you.
The next item, and I apologize, you know, we usually get to this stuff a lot sooner, and I apologize for that. Is a public hearing to consider a request of William Gold for variations to reduce the front yard setback, to reduce the total side yard setback, and to permit portions of the exterior wall and roof to intercept the setback plane for proposed first floor and second floor additions to his home at 60 Brentwood Drive. Whoever's going to present, come on up to the microphone. First floor, second floor additions to his home at 60 Brentwood Drive.
And I would just note for clarification, I included this in my staff memo with some asterisks, but I just wanted to clarify. And I would just note for setback, there are only two variations being sought: the front yard setback and the total side yard setback. We initially published the notice that there would be a setback plane encroachment,
There is.
but upon further review of the plans, there is not.
Oh, good. Okay. And before we start, any objections to this from the neighbors?
I received no objections. I spoke to the neighbor, both to the north, both abutting neighbors, the one to the north and the one to the south. Neither expressed objections to me verbally or in writing.
Okay.
Okay. Bill Gold. I have my architect with me, John Hanna, who drew these great plans. So let me just give you a little bit of background about me. I'm a builder, developer, and but I primarily build apartment buildings and for a living, and I do homes for my own use. And I lived in Glencoe at 310 Drexel Lane, and I built that house in '95, and I took a L-shaped ranch and made it into a house. At that time, John was, has Nathan's place, or had Nathan's place at that point. So I'm making full circle and coming back, and found this very interesting mid-century L-shaped house. It actually looks like a ranch, but it's got a walkout lower level. So bedroom, the current bedrooms, all the living quarters are down at the lower level, which I found to be fairly obsolete to have them down there. As nice as it is to have the full height, it's objectionable. So I needed to find the square footage. And I always wanted to have a first floor master suite because I fully plan on coming back here and staying here, and they pull me out feet first out of this house. You know, that's my intention. So anyway, I don't know if you've studied the plans, but it does have a first floor master. And what we're going to do is go off of to the east, I think, at the north, and create a wing there with a master bedroom, suite, and a garage and laundry and those facilities there, and then go up with a second floor and put 2 bedrooms up there. So the encroachment on the side, well, and the lot, if you look at the lot, it's a pie shape, and it narrows in as you get closer to the street. And the majority of the land is in the ravine, so there's not a lot of tableland. And the existing house, in addition to that, when Grunsfeld built the house, he oriented the house in a way on the lot that makes it even more of a hardship to try to find room to build without encroaching a little bit on those side yard setbacks. So with all that said, we're asking for a little relief only on the 1-story portion and only a couple feet that encroaches in the neighbor's, the side yard setback of 14 feet down to what, 12? 12, yeah. So, but only a very small portion of it where it pies in and it just kind of comes across. So neither of the neighbors objected to it. I went and introduced myself to both Mr. Isaacs, who lives to the north, and Mr. Lefevre, who lives next to me in this very cool kind of Guggenheim-ish looking house, you know, the roundhouse. Yeah, it's very interesting. I went through it, and yeah, I used to have a grotto in there at some point, one point, yeah. But anyway, so neither of them, I showed them the plans. They were welcoming, didn't have any objections to it. So, you know, they basically said good luck, and that was it. So here we are.
This kind of modest thing with the site is sort of skewed from where the house is the kind of thing we often approve without too much difficulty. Are there any questions for Mr. Gold, who's been waiting here?
I got a question. I know that when we had a prior case here last year, there was some concerns there was a variation required for the amount of garage door frontage along the street. So here we have two-car garages that face the street.
No, they don't. They face inward.
Yeah.
Oh, they
face inward.
Yeah,
it's like a U shape. So you turn in. It's 25 feet between
side load
side
garage.
to side, side loaded. Yeah.
And it's currently a side load garage, correct?
It's currently front loaded.
Oh, it is.
No,
So
it's
you'll
front
make
loaded
it.
garage.
There won't be any
yeah,
garages
okay.
on the street, facing the street.
What am I looking at? It's the side yard.
Where's
Just the
that shown on
door,
the
is
plan?
just the door.
If you look at
They go
the elevations,
Here and go in
right
here.
there, yeah.
Oh, the doors
Doors
face
are-
this way.
Yeah, exactly.
Got it, okay. Perfect.
sheet number A5
Yeah, I see
on the
that.
top.
I see it in A3, I can see it too, yeah.
So the garage door limitation of 18 feet only applies when the garage is parallel to the front property line.
Yeah.
But if it's a side loading garage, it doesn't apply.
Right.
Any
No other questions?
Is there a motion with respect to Mr. Gold's the front yard and side yard setback request?
I'll make a motion to approve that request.
All right,
Second.
Let's have a roll call.
Okay. Elsa, sir.
Yes.
Friedman.
Yes.
Kaplan.
Yes.
Novak.
Yes.
Satter.
Yes.
And Chairman Rowan.
Aye. Good luck with your project.
Thank you.
Good luck.
I think it looks
Thanks.
looks
It's
great.
gonna be
Cool,
challenging.
cool property.
Yeah, awesome property.
As I've said to my
The
pals-
view's gonna be.
As I've said to my pals who are real estate developers, though, you have to be careful about bragging about that. You know that in Naked Gun, what the bad guy said when Priscilla Presley asked him how he could possibly plan to kill the queen. He said, "You forget my hair. For a number of years, I was a building contractor." So we won't hold that against you.
Well, no, I think it's in the process.
All right, so, thank you, good luck with the project, good luck with your design. We're not quite done, we've got to
Right, we
close
have that,
this thing
close
and
the
then
other
look for the empty room and then probably, table it. So, is there a motion, public comments? No. Is there a motion to adjourn the zoning board meeting?
Motion,
to adjourn. Is there
go.
a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay, the meeting is adjourned. So we had previously gone dark, but not adjourned, just temporarily tabled the zoning commission, but nobody's here.
It's technically an encore, what you're about to do.
Okay.
Yeah,
We should do it, should we
Um,
have a new?
I would call it back to, I would call the meeting back to order. The roll call still stands. And then you can ask Nathan when your next meeting is and when you'll.
Okay, let's call the zoning commission meeting back to order. It's obvious that the applicant for this special use permit isn't here. So when's the next regularly scheduled meeting? Are we gonna have a meeting?
There will be, this is April, so there will be a May meeting. And I can say it will be the first Monday of the month. But the date, I don't know off the top of my head.
It's May 6th,
Okay,
4th, 5th, no 7th, sorry.
May 7th.
Yeah, with that kind of mistake,
We could get an objection, don't do that. May 7th.
Okay, so we should, let's table this, and it's already been noticed, so it's up for May 7th for the zoning commission hearing, if they want to come.
Do we need to make a motion
Yeah,
to
so,
continue it?
yeah, so I would motion to continue this docket to the Monday, May 7th meeting.
Is there such a motion?
Motion to continue this item to the docket for the May 7th meeting.
Is there a second?
I'll second that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion is carried, so this blue, is there, and that, so that concludes our zoning commission meeting. We did not have the hearing. Is there a motion to adjourn? Motion to adjourn. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion is adjourned. Well, it took us a little longer, but, pretty good considering all the stuff we had.
I had this pegged for another hour.
I thought this was gonna be a long one.
You know, it is a long one for us.
Not lately.
Yeah, that's gonna take a little longer. It's gonna- really-
Thank you for everybody for the hard work on this one.
Thank you.
All right. Alex, I was afraid if we gave you more time, we would have been here all night.
Watching that poor 18-year-old.
That poor 18-year-old, who was this guy who was gonna derail my project?
Derailed my fence.
And I was actually so proud of him.
Yeah?
Listen, to achieve that caliber of,
Yeah, to become an Eagle Scout.